Remember, they're changing my voice. I'm making this video outside because of the fumes that they're using. This is a draft of a letter that I'm going to send to many agencies: Attorney General, Justice Department, local law enforcement, the FBI, what have you. I am not doing that because I think that I'm going to get compensation or justice. I do not. I do not believe in the justice system. I do not believe I'll get a fair shake. I don't believe they respect this country. I don't believe they respect the Constitution or black people. And I certainly do not believe that they respect God. I don't believe they respect their own families enough to do the person with the most compelling argument as to why he is the most righteous person that ever lived. A person who's the son of two doctors, one a brain surgeon, a person with a college degree. So my argument cannot just be laughed at and scoffed at. A person with an up to $10 million top martial arts challenge that I've had since December 2013, December 20th, 2013. It is now November 2022. In next month, on the 20th, it will be exactly 9 years of me beating every challenger, of me going on and on in the comments, on Facebook, on Tinder, on YouTube, posting thousands of videos about this, commenting on countless accounts and web pages and channels and videos, rather. So now let's get to the letter, shall we? My felony, covert fuming, covert drugging, and organized harassment complaint. Remember, I had to make this on Notepad because they're hacking me and they tamper with my mail, and I don't want them to make the hacking worse. On a computer that doesn't have internet access, I cut it off from the internet to minimize the hacking, and there's still a lot of problems with it. So it doesn't have Microsoft Word, and I'm pretty sure they tamper with the local computer stores, so I have to use it in Notepad. Okay, so again, my felony, covert fuming, covert drugging, and organized harassment complaint. To whom it may concern, my name is, and I put my name, and I live in Morgan Hill, California. Let me give you some background into what led up to the organized harassment campaign against me that is done mostly by people in person and is aimed at me. It is a campaign that has been going on for many years. I started making YouTube videos. I started making videos on YouTube in 2009. I have been harassed in the comments and provoked in a way that is out of the ordinary. Okay? And it began shortly after I started making videos. It did not take long for me to notice that people were stalking me while they seemed fixated on me. They were harassing me because of my way of expressing my freedom of speech in my YouTube videos. I felt it was no big deal. However, in February 2011, after many months of harassment, I had an incident at my parents' house in which officers from the Santa Clara County Sheriff's Department played stupid about the fact that I had been assaulted and the lock on my door was broken. Okay, assaulted, not punched and so on and so forth. Okay, I've been assaulted, make a long story short, I don't want to press charges on that incident, and they wouldn't have evidence to do it anyway. But the point isn't the assault. The point was that, what I'm about to tell you. Okay. All right, where was I here? Okay. So again, Santa Clara County Sheriff's Department officers, right, played stupid about the fact that I had been assaulted and the lock on my door was broken. There was chicken wings and a broken plate all over the floor, and an officer refused to acknowledge these two things. So they were trying to make it seem like it was my fault when I had been grabbed and pushed through the door. The lock was broken, and the plate full of chicken wings in my hand had fallen on the ground, showing that my hands were full. So it was showing that I was the victim clearly. Okay? And they played stupid about this. This made it clear to me that they had something against me, and at the time I did not quite understand why. So after that assault occurred, what led up to them being called was what happened after that. But it shows that the initial problem was bigger than what they were called for. Okay, they were called for some petty shit relative to that assault. Okay, And so I said, hey, that a more important crime had taken place, and whatever I did wasn't even a crime. It was no big deal. It's the expected anger after being assaulted and dropping your chicken wings in your lock in your room being broken. Pretty straightforward. Even a little kid would know that I'm right and agree with me. This made it clear to me that they had something against me, and at the time I did not quite understand why. I noticed at some point around 2011 that people were starting to stare at me as they drove by in their cars. Now keep in mind, I've been persecuted by various hate groups all my life. I started in 2011 for the purpose of this complaint. Okay, so when I bring up, in February 2000, I started in 2009 with the videos, but 2011 with the staring. Okay, so I noticed at some point around 2011 that people were starting to stare at me as they drove by in their cars. This eventually turned into people shining their brights on me day and night in large numbers when I drive on the roads. This would eventually lead me to start to try to gather witnesses and record them in phone interviews and in person. I have the testimony of 22 witnesses in recordings at this point. So you see at this point in the letter, it's clear cut. I have the testimony. Okay, these people are tampering with my mail, high risk of them breaking into my house, so on and so forth. Okay, and I have the testimony of 22 witnesses in recording at this point. Over the years, I noticed that I was being covertly drugged, and at one point, I even had someone else test my sodas, and they did not know which ones I thought were drugged and which ones I did not think were drugged. They were able to explain the effects of the drugs in the drink that was drugged, that they drugged. The ones that were not drugged, they were able to identify as not drugged. It is illegal to covertly drug someone and to perform non-consensual experimentation on someone. It is important to note that I have lost access to some of my old YouTube channels, and they have been edited by someone else. Okay, so all legal responsibility for anything I might have said in anger on my channels or whatever, okay, does not fall on me. It falls on YouTube for not giving me back access to my channels, for the people covertly drugging me and fuming me. They messed up my eyes and made it so I can't review my own videos. Even the videos I have access, the channels I have access to, are being edited. Okay? So I might use this video and make it right now for legal purposes as well. Where was I here? So it's November. It's like Thursday. I want to say it's like the 16th or something. It's November 16th or something around there, 2022. Okay? All right. In regard to the more obvious aspects of them targeting me, there are fumes and the covert drugging to consider. Every day there are fumes in my car. There's still fumes in my old car. Okay, my room, and inside and outside of my parents' house. Some of the chemicals, materials, or substances from the fumes may have found their way to the very paper I am using to print out this complaint. One must also keep in mind that there are date rape drugs and organized sexual harassment and sextortion schemes taking place all over the world. Obviously, what they are doing to me qualifies as civil rights violations, human rights violations, and there are hate crimes committed against me. Okay? Now there's a long list of hate crimes going on in Santa Clara County, in San Jose, in California. Hate crimes against black people, against Asians, you name it. All kinds of hate crimes, Jewish people, you name it. Okay? So this is a very serious civil rights, human rights, and hate crime complaint that I'm filing. And I'm going to make sure that letter gets there to the best of my ability. And I'm going to have records of that. Not that anyone cares. Again, I do not think that America is smart enough to give me justice on this. I don't think they care about their kids or God or their country or anything of that nature. Okay? I think they're far too short-sighted and slow to give me justice in regards to this case. I fully expect to be dead by the year 2026 from the fumes and the poisons. They've been taking their toll. They even changed my shape and messed up my eyes and caused me cognitive impairment. Okay? I have no long-term aspirations for finding my life in this world. Revelation 18, which is not taking part in evil, okay, is core scripture to me. Not taking part in any evil. I have nothing to do with evil. I have nothing to do with lies. This is all true. All right. Also, I have seen obvious signs that people are being coerced into playing stupid. They seem to use the fumes or non-visible vapors or gas or whatever it may be to deny me access to various areas at various times. For instance, if the fumes are too intense at a park, then I am forced to drive away from the fumes. The fact that over time these fumes have made it difficult for me to work out and has changed my shape suggests an organized sabotage campaign which is partially in reaction to my martial arts challenges and partially to reduce my appeal. I have made many public martial art challenges on Facebook and on YouTube that have caused many people to express their disapproval. Motive has been established 1,000,000 times over. They are also seeking to suppress my religious views. Before I explore how many mental health workers contribute to the illegal and racist campaign against me, as well as the smear campaign aimed at me, I would like to remind you that I have 22 witnesses on record, and their testimony is very telling. The local mental health facility has staff that are in on it as well, at least at that time. Okay, so I'm imagining they have people there already. These are massive hate organizations, social clubs, corporate groups, okay, law enforcement groups, code of silence groups. It's like, if you know there's a corrupt prison or something, you know that there's going to be staff that are corrupt there. If you know that there's a corrupt mental health system and a corrupt code of silence in the area, and it's been talked about on the news, the San Francisco Bay Area in general, the greater Bay Area, and police corruption, hundreds of officers implicated and people convicted in Mendocino and so on and so forth, it's logical to assume that the mental health staff there are still in on it, right? You'd be shocked if they weren't. That's what I'm getting at. Okay. Where were we here? And it's retarded to pretend I'm nuts and say he needs to go to that facility. They need to shut up with that. You know what I'm saying? It's outrageous. It's outrageous. Anyway, I am sure that you are aware of the fact that when someone is brought into the psychiatric ward, that they are almost always given an initial diagnosis in a matter of 5 minutes or less. You think they give me a chance to explain the 22 witnesses in those times? No, they say just answer the questions. They don't care about being provoked. They don't care if you have a good reason to be angry. They don't care if you're just there for being angry. They don't care about that. They just take the people living with you, the word of the people living with you, and they just drug you. That's part of big pharma. Everyone knows that. They are then treated as though they are mentally ill, which I assure you I am not. Now listen very carefully. Remember, I've taken schizophrenia tests, schizoaffective. I'm not those things. They are then, okay, where are we? How could a severely mentally ill person have a martial arts challenge and beat every challenger? That's fucking outrageous. The most serious of the mental illnesses is schizophrenia. I've done lots of research into mental health. I've listened to countless mental health experts explain the various disorders and the variations, and I've seen countless studies and so on and so forth. I've studied this for years and years with peer-reviewed research, you name it. The who's opinion. Stanford, APA, you name it. So again, I ask you, how could a severely mentally ill person have a martial arts challenge for 9 years and beat every challenger? How could a severely mentally ill person graduate college while complaining about these things? Remember, it started in 2011. I started going to college in 2010. I was delayed a little bit. I graduated at the beginning of 2015 or so. So for 4 years, while I was in college, this is taking place. If I'm schizophrenic, how the fuck did I graduate college with an IT degree? They don't know what the hell they're talking about if they take that angle. It's outrageous. It's racist as hell. It's evil to take that angle. How could a severely mentally ill person graduate college while complaining about these things? Let us not forget that the Justice Department has statistics that show that there are millions of cases of stalking every year in America. When I told an officer in person, and when I called in to file a report, the Santa Clara County Sheriff Department should have taken action in regards to my case. I've called it in maybe several months ago. I called it in again. This is especially true as it involves daily hate crimes and felony organized stalking. Daily hate crimes and felony organized stalking, which they try to chop up to minor vehicle infractions, and I posted the recording on the internet. Due to the damage they have caused to my eyes, the high beam harassment should be seen as organized and premeditated vehicular assault as well. It is important to note that I graduated from college in 2015 while being fumed and covertly drugged. There should be no doubt in anyone's mind that my testimony is sane and valid. Due to my condition, I cannot talk on the phone or any text. There are frequent cyber attacks on my cell phone, and I have to reset it often, and as a result, a lot of evidence is lost. Also, they tend to do things to my items in the mail, which makes it So my clothing causes me to have various symptoms, which includes numbness and aches and more. A Santa Cruz police lieutenant has acknowledged publicly that organized stalking using technology is real, and a former police officer in Mendocino County has also exposed this and have gotten a conviction in a law enforcement officer, and his harassment also stretched out to Texas. One amount of time.